Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy that everybody's joining on time today. Alhamdulillah. If you are new here, welcome to the Muslim Homeschool Mom Halaqa. It's a halaqa that we start that we host every month. And in every month, we try to bring a topic that concerns the homeschooling mom in general. So of course they are usually beneficial to everyone, but we try to focus on the homeschooling lifestyle. If you don't know me, I am Miriam. I am a homeschooling and parenting coach, and I started this halaqa for over a year. Alhamdulillah, it's been going strong. If you haven't seen or heard or checked out our library, I believe this is the 20th episode. So you can check them out in our app, Muslim Homeschool app. It's free to download. You can just find it on iOS or Android, and you can see the Homeschool Mom Halaqa, and you'll find all the subjects that we talked about before. And this month, sometimes it's me, sometimes I bring a guest, but lately I've been bringing a lot of guests, alhamdulillah, to just expand our reach, and we get to learn from different perspectives. So, like today, I'm so happy to introduce, sorry, I'm still like letting people in. I'm so excited to introduce Hannah from Arabic Nest. She is our She's dedicated to teaching language and especially helping moms teach their kids Arabic. And mashallah, she's very inspiring. She also has a podcast called Raising Righteous Muslims Through Arabic. And mashallah, it's filled with valuable insights and stories that will inspire you in your journey. And I'm going to let her give a full-on introduction of herself. Wait, one moment. Okay, I'm still letting people in. So today we'll focus on the step-by-step method to teaching my child Arabic. We had a few ideas and we were not sure what to share with you guys today. So I did a poll last week on my Instagram, Grow Those Little Hands. And the majority of you wanted the step by step, like what, how, and when. So thank you so much, Shirva. So yeah, I'm very excited and I'm so happy that a lot of you were able to join us today. Ruba said, Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Great duo, mashallah. Jazakallah khairan. And Ruba actually is my very good friend, and she happened to do a podcast episode with Hannah just a few weeks ago. Like I highly recommend that you listen to it. It's same about reading and Arabic as well. So alhamdulillah. Alaikum assalam, Gina. Thank you guys for joining us. Hannah, if you're ready, you can go ahead.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Okay, so let's get started. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So, mashallah, I'm really impressed with the turnout. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
This is
This is
amazing.
amazing.
Oh, I have a delay. What is this? Why do I
No,
have
it was just somebody who just joined and they
Oh,
were
okay.
activated. Yes, alhamdulillah, we don't get this much of a turnout. Around the average is usually between 20 to 30 people. Last time we did it on Friday, it was a little low on the lower end because of the Friday, I guess here, especially in the United States, Friday nights are busy. But alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that all of you were able to make it.
Alhamdulillah. Actually, for me, it's Friday morning.
Yeah, yes. Hello from
On the other
Malaysia.
side of the world. Okay, so assalamu alaikum everyone. So today, inshallah, we'll be talking about the stage of learning and teaching actually Arabic. So you can teach your child following their development. And so before we get started, I'm just gonna introduce myself a bit quickly for those who don't know me. So I'm Hannah. I'm a language passionate. I speak a few languages, alhamdulillah, and I'm also very passionate about education and teaching in general, teaching young children, but also teaching adults. And so I created Arabic Nest because I wanted to empower Muslim families and more specifically mothers in their journey to teach their children Arabic because I believe Arabic is so important for us as Muslims, and it's something that should be at the center of our life. And especially for homeschooling, this is something that should definitely be included in our homeschooling life, inshallah. So my purpose with this project is like kind of twofold, right? First of all, of course, is giving people the tools to actually teach their children Arabic in the most efficient and most beneficial way, but also to kind of make sure that they're able to be successful in that journey. Because sometimes we might have all the tools, but we're not able to use them properly, or we're not able to use them at all, actually. So that's why for me, it's not just about the technical aspects, which are very important, but it's also about everything else that is around, inshallah. But today, because of the vote, we'll be focusing, inshallah, on the technical aspect, which is like the stages of teaching Arabic, inshallah. So I'm going to ask you a question for those who are already teaching their kids Arabic or planning to start. Like, where did you start? What is the first thing you did to teach your kids Arabic? I would love to hear from you, inshallah. The alphabet, okay. Qaida. So yeah, so for those who don't know, the Qaida is the equivalent of the alphabet, right? Is a method of teaching the alphabet also, but more focused on Quranic reading. Started speaking and reading books, okay. Teach the alphabet and read lots of story, the alphabet. Okay. Talking to them in Arabic and reading to them in Arabic stories, speaking Arabic at home, alhamdulillah. So we do have a mix, inshallah. So yeah, usually the alphabet is the first thing we go to, especially when we're non-Arabic speakers, right? When we're Arabic speakers, we might be able to speak to our children Arabic before we reach the level of like, let's teach them the alphabet, right? But when we're non-Arabic speakers, like the first thing we're gonna do is like the alphabet. It seems like the obvious choice, right? They need to learn the alphabet. And actually, most of what is available online, not all, now it's better, but what is the most available right now is the alphabet, is how to teach the alphabet. Even like you'll have tons of like YouTube videos and things like this, like teaching the alphabet, listening to the alphabet and all these things. In my opinion, starting with the alphabet is actually a big mistake. And inshallah, today, as we will go through the stages, you'll understand why. Okay, so this is obviously for children, not for adults. Actually, for adults, I do recommend that they start with the alphabet so they can unlock reading, which will make their life much easier, right? But for children, I do not recommend starting with the alphabet. Okay, inshallah, so let's get started. So the way we're doing our method for teaching Arabic is based on 4 stages, okay? And all the stages are very important. Like there's not a stage that is more important than the other. They're all very important and they're all interconnected and interdependent. So what does it mean? It means that they're all related to each other, and there is indeed a progression. That's why there's 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's not in a way that we have to do stage 1 and finish everything and then move on to stage 2 and finish everything and then move on to stage 3 and so on and so forth. The idea here is that all the stages, at one point in your journey, you're going to be possibly doing all 4 stages at the same time, and that's okay. That's actually better. So yeah, so definitely this is like a progressive approach, but it's an approach where all the stages are gonna overlap. And so, inshallah, so the first one, stage number one, is not the alphabet. So some of you actually from your answers already know that, I think. So the first stage, inshallah, is language acquisition, right? And that's what you've been doing greatly by speaking and like reading stories. This is like what language acquisition is about, right? It's about gaining vocabulary, gaining exposure, right? Language exposition is about exposure and vocabulary. So we want to give the child as much as possible as we can, like Arabic input. And I know for a lot of people at that stage, the main thing that comes to mind is like immersion, right? They have to be immersed in the Arabic language. They have to be spoken Arabic all the time and things like this if we want them to learn Arabic. While it is true that immersion is a very good strategy, I think it's not very realistic for a lot of people, especially if you don't speak Arabic. Like asking you to speak in Arabic all the time, or like put Arabic to your kid all the time is going to be very difficult. It's not realistic. And so that's why when we embark on this journey of teaching our children Arabic, we have to remember that we have to do it our own way, in the same way that when we're homeschooling, we're choosing what works for us best. I think if you're all homeschooling here, you know that it's not like you don't have to follow this specific like structured and rigid method and things like this. You get to choose. That's the whole like beauty of homeschooling, is that you get to choose how you're going to go about this journey and how you're going to approach it. And this is the same for Arabic learning. So when we're going to be teaching our children Arabic, we have to make sure that we are approaching this the same way, and that we're not overwhelming ourselves from the beginning, right? This is something I see a lot, sadly. A lot of parents, they want to teach their kids, but they're like getting overwhelmed very quickly. And so we have to take a step back and kind of see like, where am I right now? And what can I do to make this happen? How can I give my child exposure in a way that is beneficial for him, but not overwhelming for me? How can I increase the vocabulary we're learning, but it's not like overwhelming? Like you're never teaching any Arabic and suddenly you want to teach them 20 words every day. That's like crazy, right? So that's why when we're talking about learning and language learning, of course, we have to create consistency and repetition, because it is very efficient in language learning, but we have to make it in a way that is sustainable, that is like ongoing. So it's not just like for 1 week, I'm going to do all these things and then I'm going to be overwhelmed and just give up and do nothing. So it's really, and my advice always, it's to start very small, because when you start small, you can add on. But if you start very strong, it's very difficult to go smaller because you're already overwhelmed. Yeah. So inshallah, this is the idea around the first stage, is language acquisition, where we want to make sure that the child has an input that is both quantity and quality. Okay. So quantity, we understand like the amount of Arabic he's going to be exposed to, or she's going to be exposed to. Yeah, Mariam. Okay. Do I speak Arabic?
No,
Okay,
not
for those who are
just
listening, oh, what are me? But
no, it's
actually,
like
yeah.
everybody. I want to know like the kind of audience we have today is like, do they mainly speak Arabic or not? Like, just want to know like in general. So if you guys see my message, just put a thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't at all. Thank you.
Yes, definitely, because this is going to change the way you're going to approach this journey. Of course, someone who's not able to speak at all is not going to start the same way as someone who speaks fluently. And of course, language acquisition is going to be much easier for someone who is fluent, obviously. But that doesn't mean it's impossible for someone who's not fluent in Arabic, who doesn't speak Arabic. It is possible. And even when you speak only the dialect, like
Very,
it's still Arabic, even if a lot of words might be different from the Fusha, it is still Arabic.
yeah.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, there's a mix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so
like I was
so
just
for
answering,
the
Dina is the so we do have, like, that's why we have this kind of halaqa, because there are a lot of people, including me, who speak Arabic, but the children are in different stages. Some like it, some don't like it, some don't speak it at home because English is easier. And so you're not alone.
yeah, inshallah, at the end, inshallah, I can take a few questions regarding all these aspects, inshallah. I am currently in Malaysia, Sister Rehab, inshallah. Okay, so when I was talking about input, so I was talking about quantity, right? So it's gonna look different from one family to another, depending on your situation, and that's okay. The other aspect is quality. And so when I speak about quality, it's not just about the quality of the Arabic itself, right? Like you have to speak perfect Arabic and everything. Of course, the better you're speaking, the better the results, but it's the same. You can still do something even if you don't have like this perfect Arabic fluency and so on. But when I talk about quality, to me, actually, it's more related to the quality of interactions. So the quality of interactions that you get with your child. Why do I say this? Because if your interaction with your child in Arabic is like stressful, is like, oh my God, they don't want to speak, and it's all this like negative thing, then it's gonna be very difficult to create a positive relationship with Arabic. And ultimately, to me, I'm going to be honest with you. Teaching Arabic to me isn't about getting my kids to be bilingual or to be fluent in Arabic. Teaching my kids Arabic is about connecting them to the language of the Quran, to the words of Allah. It's to create this foundation of love for the language. So it's not something that they have to do, something that is like boring, that is like forced on us. It is something that they are enjoying. So that's why for me, quality of interaction is as much important as quantity. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, mashallah.
Um,
It's
Alhamdulillah.
something that we all go through in the beginning, and I definitely went through that. Like, it's cool to be bilingual, or like it has to be your children have to be bilingual when you are. So there was a lot of pressure for me in the beginning, and that really puts reassurance. Like, what's the point behind learning Arabic? Which is like understanding the Quran and having that positive relationship with the Quran first.
Exactly. Exactly. That is the most important thing. If there's only one thing you're going to take from today's session is that your job is not to get your kid to be bilingual or fluent in Arabic. Your job is to create a positive relationship with the Arabic. Maybe you're not going to be able to teach them that now, but if they have this connection, they'll be able to do it themselves later.
Yeah.
So this is very important. Okay, so that was like the first stage. And as you can see, the stage is ongoing, like it never stops. We never stop like learning vocabulary, we never stop exposing ourselves to Arabic. It's an ongoing process. Throughout the whole journey, this is gonna happen. Like this is a stage, once you enter it, it never ends, inshallah. So what is the next stage? The next stage is actually the code. So the code is basically, as we understanding, the alphabet, which actually in Arabic is the Abjadiyya, because it's not the same system as the alphabet like Latin languages, but that's just a detail. And so basically here, when we're teaching the code or the alphabet, whatever you want to call it, inshallah, we have to understand what is the alphabet. So what's the purpose of an alphabet? Why do we need an alphabet? It is to literally code a language, right? Like a spoken language, we want to put it into written. So we need some kind of code to be able to translate that, right? So the code, that's why I call it the code, because for me, I like to make things clear. So this is, the alphabet is the code for us to be able to then write and read the language, inshallah, the written language. Yeah. So yeah, when we're talking about the code, sadly, there's one step that is often neglected or altogether forgotten when we're talking about language learning, and that is sound awareness. Usually when I'm going to be teaching the alphabet, we're going to go straight to the letters, right? We're going to teach alif, ba, ta, tha, and so on and so forth. But before the letter shapes and like how it's written, but actually before we do that, especially with Arabic, especially if it's not a language that is familiar to the child or in the environment, like if you're not living in an Arabic speaking environment, they need to create this awareness of the different sounds that exists in Arabic, right? So basically, the sound awareness is for us to make sure that the child is able to recognize the different sounds that are in Arabic, especially the sounds that are not in your like local language. For example, letters like qa, right? Qa is not something that is in most languages. So it's a sound that might be difficult. So we need to make sure that the child first is able to identify this sound and recognize it, right? So there's a few exercises that can be done and things like this. But this is a very important step that it would be very necessary to go on to the next steps. And of course, after we teach the letter shapes, so that's like how they're written. And in Arabic, we have something special that the letter have different shapes depending on where they're in the word, kind of. So yeah, so this is like the next thing. So first, the sounds and the shape of the letter, and then the different shape in the word of the letter. So when we're teaching the code, inshallah. Okay, so again, like I said, this is a progressive approach. So when we start teaching the letters, like when we reach starting teaching letters, we don't necessarily have to finish teaching all the letters before moving to the next stage. Okay, you don't have to finish all of the letters to be moving to the next stage, inshallah. Right? So the next stage is gonna be coding. So now we have a code, but we want to use it. So we're gonna be coding things. Coding is the equivalent of writing. So if you're familiar with the Montessori approach, this is how it's done also in the Montessori approach, right? We start with writing before reading. And for me in Arabic, I find it even more relevant because one simple reason is because reading is much, much more difficult. Because in reading, there's so many aspects. So we have the shape, like we have the letters, then we have the shape of the letters, then we have the harakat. So there's so many that we have the long vowels, we have this, there's so many aspects in reading that can make it very, very difficult. So if we start with reading right away, it kind of like put the child in a very like a struggle because it's very difficult. So that's why writing is better at that stage, to start with writing. So coding. And here, basically, when we're talking about coding, there's also a few aspects. The first one, especially when you have young children, is going to be like trying to compose words. So because when you think about it, when you write, is as if you're just speaking, right? So when you write, you just have to sound the words and like find the corresponding element. And it's much easier than reading, which is you have the element and you have to try and figure out what is the sound. I don't know if it makes sense, but so basically here composing words is where we're going to be using like movable alphabets or flashcards or things like this to be able to handle composing words without having to actually handwrite, right? Because children, when they're young, they're not ready to handwrite. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so definitely this is for me, that's why in coding there's like two steps. The first one is going to be like really understanding this process of composing words. And when they're ready, then we start handwriting. And for handwriting, actually is the same as if you're teaching them English. I mean, there's no specific age for me, but it's when they're ready. So basically, this has to do also with making sure we are preparing our children to handwriting. So there's a lot of activities we can do around that, so they're able to write, inshallah. But also when you see the child interested in writing, right? That's why when we are exposing our children, it's not just about speaking. I know that's something we have this idea, like we have to speak to our child, but it's also about exposing them visually to Arabic. So when they see it, they'll be like, oh, this is Arabic, like this is written Arabic. And so this also will reinforce their want or their desire to actually handwrite themselves. Okay. I don't really recommend any specific age. It really depends on the child, on the situation. I don't do ages, so it really depends for me, inshallah.
It was more like the answer I was looking for is about composing words, like using, as you said, flashcards and those, I'm guessing the blocks, puzzles and stuff to
Mhm.
compose the words if they're not going to be able to handwrite. Or is it's going
Exactly.
to be a first step anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially Arabic handwriting is very cursive. And usually cursive is not taught in English much. I'm not sure if in the US or Canada is the same, but in French,
Yeah.
for example, we do teach the cursive. Like
Yeah.
the cursive is part of like the language learning,
Yeah.
so it's a bit easier. But Arabic is all cursive, so like the shapes are gonna be different and the movement of the hand is gonna be different. So there needs to be some preparation for that also.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then, inshallah. Okay. Okay, so then we're on our last, inshallah, stage, which is decoding, right? So it's writing. And so for this stage, again, there are so many aspects. So my advice is to take a very progressive approach, not try to like, okay, you know the letters, so let's just start reading like randomly, right? I really recommend to go step by step again, because the more we kind of, divide into smaller text, the easier it gets. Okay. So basically there's a few things. This is the way we do it. Some other people do it in a different order. For us, this is how we do it, and we feel is the most relevant. But again, like I don't have all the answers. Like my method is not like the ultimate method for everyone in the world. So it's just like one that I feel has been successful and is efficient. So we start with the short vowels, and then the tanween, then the sukun, then the long vowels, then the shadda and the hamza at last, because it's one of the most difficult things. So yeah, decoding, sorry, is reading. So the last step is reading. Decoding is reading, because basically you have the code in front of you and you're just trying to decode, right? So you have to decode to kind of figure it out. So when the child is faced with all these different elements, it can be confusing. And so that's why also all the stages overlap, because you might start decoding, but you're still teaching writing. Yeah, you might be starting like reading, but you're still also doing writing at the same time, obviously. So it's all together to reinforce the process, inshallah. So yeah, so these are the 4 stages, like I mentioned. So as you can see, like the code, and then we can start writing while teaching the letters. We can start reading while already writing, and so on. Yeah, does it make sense? Is it like a bit clearer for you?
Yes, sister, very clear. Thank you.
If you have any
Okay.
questions, you can leave them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. Sometimes people forget their questions. You can write them and then Hannah will get to them, inshallah.
Inshallah. So before we get to the question and everything, I wanted to actually address like 3 mistakes that I see a lot when teaching the alphabet, because I know this is like the huge part of teaching Arabic is the alphabet. And I see these mistakes a lot, so I just wanted to make sure I can address them, inshallah. So if you're doing this, it's okay. Like, don't stress, and everything can be like retaught kind of, or like fixed, no worries. So the first one is like, don't teach the letters by following the order of the alphabet. You know, what is funny? That what is the purpose of knowing the order of the alphabet? What is the purpose?
I have no idea.
There's only one purpose: to sing a cute
Memor-
song. Okay.
Yeah, to memorize.
To memorize. Actually,
Yeah.
not even. You can memorize you can learn. Okay, not memorize. You can learn the letter of the alphabet without knowing their order. Exactly, Rehab. For the dictionary, this is the only purpose, that you need to know the order of the alphabet, is so you're able to look up words in the dictionary. So for young children, this is not like
Yeah, that's the
very
only
urgent.
I needed to, yeah, that's the only time I needed to know which letter comes first, or like, does it come in the beginning or the end, was when to look in the dictionary, like my whole life.
Yeah, because this is the only purpose of it. And that doesn't mean that we should never learn the order of the alphabet, again, because we're going to need it for the dictionary. But when we're starting to learn, there's no reason for you to start with alif, ba, ta, tha. And especially because alif is a very difficult like letter. Even like when we're reading and things like this, like the way we write it and all, it's a very difficult letter. So I don't recommend to start with alif, actually. What I do recommend to start with, if you're like, okay, so which letter do I start with? Like, I just randomly pick a letter. So there are 2 things. My first advice is pick letters from their name, your child's name, because the sooner they're going to know the letters of their name and be able to write their name in Arabic, the better. They're going to be excited about that. How can I write my name in Arabic? Because I know the letters, right? The second thing to take into account is start with letters that the sound they're familiar with. So don't teach the first letter qa, right? You can start with ba, you can start with lam, with mim. So these are sounds that we have in other languages, right? So when we're teaching the alphabet, we want to start easy, small, and then move on to the more complex. We don't want to start right away difficult. So this is my advice, inshallah. The second mistake I see a lot is that people teach the same sound together. And this is a problem also with teaching the order of the alphabet, is that some sounds are going to be next to each other and they're very similar. And this can be confusing when you start teaching the letters. Because when I teach the letters, usually I teach 3 letters at a time, okay, together. So of course, if you're including in those letters sin and sad, it might be very difficult for the child to recognize the difference. Okay, I'm talking about like when you start. Okay, after some point, it's going to be important to make the distinction between the 2. But when we're starting, I don't recommend you start with similar sounds together, because it will be confusing for the child. But once they're more confident in like the letters they know and like recognizing the sounds, the more we can like how to say, tune in this ability to make the difference between seen and sad. And then
I wanted to add something
yes.
quickly. Is that
Yes, go ahead.
especially when you're starting with the toddlers, younger kids, they are that developmentally not able to say certain sounds, so you focus on the sounds that they know how to say correctly, like meme and ba and like for example, L is usually very hard for a 2-year-old to pronounce correctly. So you stay away from those and you start with the ones that are, like as you said, like they are already familiar with them. They you can teach the rest later, right?
Exactly. Like I said, you don't need to be teaching all of the letters in one go, right? It's progressive, and you can start teaching some of the letters and they can already like move on to the next stage with only a few letters, actually. So yeah, so don't stress too much about that, inshallah. And then the third mistake that I see a lot, which is related to that one, is teaching similar shapes together, and for the same exact reason. Because when we're teaching the same shapes together, it gets confusing. Like, is Jim the one that has the dot on top or below? And you know, it's like all this mental process that makes it, even for us adults, difficult. So that's why it's good to really teach them separately, so they're really able to identify the different shapes, and then you can do some exercises that are like trying to make sure they know the three together, but after. Yeah, like you said, you still have to think twice with these three letters because they're confusing. They're very similar. It's just like the dot. So you need to know where it goes and which sound it makes when it goes there. So yeah, so trying not to teach similar shapes. That's why also teaching following the order of the alphabet can be very confusing, because usually in the alphabet, the letters that have the same shape would be put together. So yeah, so that these are like the three main mistakes I kind of see, and I hope you don't do. If you did it, it's okay. I mean, like it's done, so no problem. But it's just like if you're starting or with the next child, keep these in mind, inshallah. Yeah. Okay. So actually, because some of you were like asking and things like this, if you feel you need support in this journey, that's why I'm here, and I'm gonna be launching this step-by-step method as a training. So basically, it will be like videos explaining each stage and everything, so you know what to do and how to do it and how to teach, like how to actually teach the lesson. Like the idea is to train you. I'm not teaching your child, I'm training you to teach your child. This is something for me that is very important. I know a lot of people come to me and like, do you do like classes for children? Like, do you teach children Arabic? And I'm like, no, I do not teach children Arabic. First of all, because I hate teaching online for kids. Like, this is something I don't enjoy. And second of all, because I want you to do it. And as homeschoolers, you're totally, I don't have to convince you. So you know that it is really important when you are the teacher and you are creating this relationship with your child and with Arabic. This is very, very important, inshallah. So basically, this training will aim at giving you clarity also on how to raise your children with Arabic. So like some obstacles or misconception you might have around like teaching your child Arabic. I also explained some very basic grammar aspects of the language for those who are not Arabic speakers. And even when you're Arabic speaker, sometimes it's really good to have clarity on some aspects of the language. And also how to plan this journey, like how to kind of make sure you're sustainable and you can do things that are, you can create progress, inshallah. And of course, the other things is that you'll go step by step, like all the stages and everything that you need to know to be able to deliver the lessons and teach your children, whichever approach you have. My idea is to give you the knowledge so you're able to teach your child the way you want. So it's not like a curriculum that you have to follow to the letter, and that you have to do everything as I say. You can like change it, you can tweak it. I give you the most important aspects and understanding you need for that, inshallah. And of course, I provide also practical resources like a word list and like recap and overview of each of the stages and things like this, so you're able to actually take take action and actually practice it and implement it, inshallah. So inshallah, because you're joining here and for Sister Maryam's community, I'm offering this free poster, inshallah, that has all the letters and the distinction between all the shapes, and also between the moon letter and what is it in English? And sun letter, sorry, finding my words, inshallah. So I'll give you a link. I'm gonna put it here in the chat. So you can just like, you sign up and then you can get the freebie, inshallah, this poster that you can print, laminate, and hang in your space or like homeschooling space, inshallah. And then, yeah. And also I will be giving a discount to all of you who are joining here to that upcoming training, inshallah. Oops, let me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let me take any question now. Okay, let me go back to the chat and see all the questions, inshallah. Okay, so the first one I'm seeing is Seval, I think. I don't speak Arabic and I don't understand as well. I can just recite the Quran. I would like to get advice for the parents who doesn't speak Arabic at home and would like their kids to learn and speak Arabic. So my advice always is get started, right? So you're saying you don't speak Arabic, you don't understand as well. So you need, as a parent, as a teacher, to start learning yourself. And you can do that by learning alongside your child. So everything you're learning, you can also teach it to your child. It's not just like you have to be fluent and then you can start teaching your child. It can be like an experience that you do together. You're learning new vocabulary and then you practice it together. And actually, sometimes it's really good because it's pushing you to, you know, to learn more and to get more knowledge, more Arabic knowledge and exposure and things like this. So I would just like advise you to start learning Arabic, to find a way that works for you. Like some people, they thrive on workbooks. Some people, they thrive on like private classes, other on group classes. Like some people like to randomly learn things, I don't know. So find a way that works for you so it's enjoyable and so that you can be sustainable to learn the language, and like really to create this consistency so you can then start expose your child to the language and then continue to the different stages, inshallah. I don't know if it makes sense. Okay, resources for flashcards, movable alphabet. Okay, for writing purposes. I don't have the names right now of all of them, but the one I have, I'm not sure if it's still in use. It's magnetic wooden movable alphabet that I really, really enjoy, but I'm not sure if it's still manufactured. It was called Letter Connector. Maybe you'll find something similar.
Yeah, they're available right now, and I will include a list of the resources that I have as well with the recording, inshallah. So in a few days in the Muslim Homeschool app, I will send an email when it's ready. So in the Muslim Homeschool app, you'll find under this episode the notes, the recording, the notes, and all the resources that Hannah mentioned, and also the resources that we need, like you guys ask for, inshallah. So I'll add these in there.
Okay, the next one, as non-native speakers, when children learn to speak the Quran, to recite, I guess, they usually learn the letters, try to write them, and learn the vowels. My daughter did very well in doing the letters individually, but when it came to the vowels, shaddat and ween, she struggled, and this put her off. She found it hard, so we went back and started doing it slowly. It feels like less pressure on her, but she still struggles. Yeah, that's why it's really important to like go step by step, because like you're mentioning, like all these aspects, the vowel, the shadda, the sukun can be overwhelming if we're trying to do everything at once. So that's why you have to go like one element by element, right? So you don't like put too much pressure on yourself, on your child also. Definitely. Okay. Does watching shows with Arabic dubbing count as exposure? Okay. Screen is a very big topic. And actually, my take on this, I'm not against screen, but I'm not also too pro screen. So the idea for me is that putting your child in front of an Arabic show might not be beneficial if it's just that. If you want your child to get benefit from watching something in Arabic, there's some prep that needs to be done. Okay, you cannot just like expect your child to watch like Arabic videos every day and suddenly speak Arabic. This is not the reality. It can be efficient, it can be beneficial if you approach this the right way. Inshallah, I do cover this in the training, inshallah, how to make sure that you can leverage like screen time for good purpose. Yeah. Okay. Alhamdulillah, Nisa. Wa iyaki. Okay. What best advice on which Arabic to use with a child? Okay. Okay. This is a question that comes a lot. Like, should I choose dialect or Fusha? I'm gonna be honest. For me, there are two different languages, and I treat them as two different languages. Of course, they are connected, but I still make the distinction. Because especially dialects, it's gonna be like they're mostly spoken. It's not gonna be written that much. You can write them, but it's like it's less probable that you write in dialect, right? Okay, so I don't give like specific rules or like you have to use Fusha for that, you have to use dialect for this or that. It's gonna really depend on the family situation. For example, when we're talking about exposure, if you don't speak very well Fusha or you struggle with Fusha, I recommend expose your child to the dialect first. It's okay. Start with something that is comfortable to you, because if it is comfortable, then you know, again, about the quality of the interactions. The qualities are going to be better. If you're pushing yourself, trying to speak Fusha, but it's very hard, you're making a lot of mistakes, it's taking all your energy, it's not going to be enjoyable, neither for you nor for your child. So when it comes to dialect and Fusha, I think you have to do what works best for you. And I do feel both are important. If you are from Arabic origin and you know a dialect, I do believe it's really important to keep it alive. This is like part of your identity and culture. So for me, this is very important. Even though I'm very pro Fusha, I do recommend to focus on dialect when it is something that you have. If you don't have any connection to any Arabic like origin or like people or anything, then there's no need for you to learn dialect, except if you want to go and live in an Arabic speaking country. But and then otherwise, yeah, you can focus only on Fusha. But if you have both, you need to have both. But again, Fusha, you see, is gonna be used more for reading, for writing. See, for the more like formal stages of teaching the language, and like dialect is going to be used more for exposing the child, so they acquire their dialect, but they don't necessarily have to write it or read it. Yeah, hope it answered the
I want to
question.
add this.
Yes.
I want to add my perspective because
Yes.
like that's my struggle. So if for you ladies who don't know, the Moroccan Arabic is not really Arabic. Like you can speak the Moroccan fluently, and same thing goes with Tunisians and Algerians as well. you can speak that dialect fluently, but still when you try to read Quran or like just listen to the news or any show in Arabic Fusha, you may not get a word. And that was a struggle for me in the beginning because I wanted to do it perfectly. I didn't want to make a mistake. And the Quran is more important. So I thought, okay, let me do my best to teach the Fusha only. And then I got frustrated because I don't speak Fusha in like day to day. I speak Moroccan. So for me to make a huge change for my child was putting a lot of pressure for me. And it comes on like that. Like my child senses that it's not something I'm comfortable with that I'm happy to do. So obviously he just wasn't interested and would just push against it, right? It doesn't make it's not it doesn't it's not fluent. It doesn't flow. So so it put me down because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. It's so frustrating. It's so hard. Well, English is easier. So because everybody else speaks English, so I just ended up speaking English. But again, alhamdulillah, like going back, because we have grandparents, because we have family, Moroccan is very important to know so they can communicate with them. But also like you follow the stages like that you mentioned and you learn the vocabulary and you expose them to the vocabulary from reading books. Especially I found that was helpful because you look at the pictures and I read the story. And I want to ask you this as well, like, so I will read the story and I'll point to the picture. I'm like, this is what it means, this is what that is. But is it okay to translate it? Does it make
You
it
know, it is
not?
funny because always people they want to have like, direct answer, like everything clearly how to do it. There's no like definite answer that if you do like this, it's gonna be wrong. If you do it like this, it's gonna be right. Um, as much as possible, we should avoid to translate. Obviously, why? Because we want to really try the child to make the connection in that language. So if you translate, they're gonna rely on the other language. Now, if you're showing the picture and you feel like the child is not understanding still, and you're gesturing and you're making like efforts to make them understanding only in Arabic, and you see the child is still not getting it, then it's okay to also use the other language. I mean, they're not gonna die because you tell them once a vocabulary in English because it was easier to explain it. And that's why when you have consistency and repetition, those instances don't matter that much because they're not going to be the most important ones. Of course, if you ask me, can I translate all the time? Then I'm going to say no, obviously, because it defeats the purpose. It's like we don't want to be relying only on another language, of course, but it is okay from time to time to like use English if we're struggling to explain or if we don't know how to explain it. Just like simply, I am not sure how to explain this to you in Arabic or like signing or things like this. And I know you know the other word in English, so I'm just gonna use that so you're able to understand. But of course, as much as possible, we should rely on Arabic only. And I wanted to say something about the dialect because what I faced when I started speaking to my children with the Tunisian dialect, because I'm Tunisian, is that in the Tunisian dialect, there's a lot of French words, okay? And I also speak French. And so one of the things that we try to do with my husband, he's also Tunisian, is that we try to remove all the French from the dialect. So this was for us to kind of like build a bridge between the dialect and the Fusha, removing all this like influence, French influence that we didn't enjoy anyway. So we were trying to switch the words that usually come out in French to Fusha. So we kind of created our own dialect that includes only Arabic. So yeah, I don't know if this can be helpful to you, inshallah, but it definitely, and again, it was like progressive. It's not I removed all French altogether. It's just like every time I was realizing, oh, this word is in French, like what is the Arabic, like the Fusha for this, so I can use that instead, inshallah. Okay, then for the second stage code, do we make them get that phonic awareness, like by showing them the words and telling out verbally? So you don't need to show anything written when you're doing phonic awareness. There is just sounding, like giving the sounds, and they have to recognize. So you can give objects or like things that represents those vocabulary words, but no need to write the words. They're like it defeats the whole purpose. You want them to listen to you, not to like look at the letters and recognize them. This is the concept of phonic awareness, phonemic way. Okay, what kind of things can we do to immerse them in the language? My short answer is leave the Arabic language. This is my motto. Try to integrate Arabic into daily life, like step by step, you know, like every time, like a word, a sentence, something, just, and then build on that and connect them to the love the Quran or the language of the Quran. So these are two different things. To love the Quran is one thing, and to love the language of the Quran is another thing. I could be speaking for hours about all this. So connecting them to love the Quran is that, again, you have to create this relationship of love with the Quran yourself as the example, and trying to make it enjoyable for them also. I actually have a masterclass on instilling a desire to learn Arabic in your child. Inshallah, I can share the link also later. Okay, as a non-native speaker, how do we immerse our child into the Arabic language? Do we have to learn the language ourselves first? So yeah, like I said, you have to learn the language. You can learn it alongside your child. It doesn't mean you have to be fluent and then you teach your child. You can learn together. And actually, this would be even more efficient for you, because when you're learning something and then teaching it, like this is how you retain better the information. Do you have any resource for teaching building mainly Quranic vocabulary via spoken vocabulary? So you want something that is only Quranic? I think, what was her name? There's a sister who has the like flashcards of words from the Quran. So some people use that. I'm not sure if this is what you're referring to. What to do if you want your child to learn your home native language and Arabic, how to join that all. It is okay. You can teach, you just need to have a strategy in place. The issue sometimes is that when we do things randomly, like it can be confusing for the child. But if you have a clear strategy on how to approach this, you can do it absolutely no problem. I do include a part in my training explaining all the different strategies that you can use to expose your child. This is what we call language exposure policies. It's basically like you decide on something and then you try to go through with it as a guideline on how to use different languages. For example, if you have 2 languages or 3 or more, how do you use them in your house, inshallah. And I also have private coaching if any of you want to like to have very specific question, and like I look at your situation and I try to give you targeted and tailored advice, so you create a plan for you, inshallah. How to encourage our children to speak in Arabic without it being forced. My daughter understands everything, both in our native dialect and in Fusha, but refused to speak in Arabic because she's worried about making mistakes or thinks she can't speak it. Okay, this is, you have to, like, the answer is in the question, because she's worried about making a mistake. So you have to make sure you give the correct understanding of what is a mistake and what is the purpose of making a mistake. Actually, for me in language learning, I love mistakes. And I encourage like students to make mistakes, because when you're making mistakes, this is how you're learning. When you're never making any mistakes, you're not learning anything. You already know everything. But when you're making mistakes, it means you're learning, and it means you're going to learn even better because you're going to give a lot of attention because you made a mistake. Now, how to approach mistakes with children also, this is something we have to, like, there's a whole process on how to, when you're a child, you're teaching them, they're making mistakes, how to address that. So it's not like, it doesn't put them off and it's like, oh no, I'm always making mistakes and stuff like this. So yeah, this is how you're going to be dealing with your child also affects this a lot. And again, like you said, we don't want to be forced. So try to be as understanding, as like patient. I know with language learning, like patient is a very, very important skill to have because you need to be patient. There's no other option. You have to be patient because language learning is not something you learn in one day, or like they give you sometimes like learn Arabic in 30 days. Like it doesn't work like this. Learning a language takes a lifetime. So there's no such thing. She says she doesn't know how to speak. It's so refused to speak back in Arabic. It's like her brain is trying to slowly construct a response because English has taken over. She used to only speak Arabic. So you have to look at why, first of all, there's this change that happened. Because maybe something happened and she's associating making mistakes in Arabic to something, or you would be surprised that how one small thing can like change the way children interact with the language. I had a case where there's a mother and she would speak to her child in Arabic and the child will respond back to her in Arabic. So like she was fluent in Arabic, but then when she was outside with kids like that spoke Arabic, she would never speak to them in Arabic, and she would refuse to speak to them in Arabic, even though they were Arabic speakers and they didn't speak any other language. Why? Because she has this misconception that only adults spoke Arabic. So even if the child was speaking Arabic, she would not speak to them in Arabic because for her, in her understanding, like Arabic was associated to adults. So it didn't make sense for her to speak to children in Arabic. So sometimes see, like it's this very small thing that can create such a like misconception in your child's like understanding of the word. So that's why it's really important to think about these things and to kind of like question and analyze so we're better able to address it, inshallah. Okay, she started school. So yeah, of course. So then, yeah, of course, you need to put in place some kind of strategy to adapt to the new situation. That's also the beauty when we're like even when we're not homeschooling, like when we're taking control of our kids' education, is that we get to make choices, we get to do changes, we get to adapt to the situation. So you have a new situation, so you have to make sure you adapt to it and take into account what it means, like the consequences. So of course, now the transition is harder because she's exposed to English outside in the school, which becomes her main like learning environment. So all of this is like really important to take into account, inshallah. Okay, when I was growing up with my sisters, my mother taught us by talking to us, and it took us forever to speak back to her. It wasn't until we grew up and saw our peers speaking and felt it was cool, then we started speaking, but we always knew how to do it. We saved it all for grown-ups. Yeah, that's the thing, because again, it's all together. It's not just by speaking that they're going to be fluent. It's like there's a lot of other factors. They have to be exposed. They have to have this positive connection with the language. They have also something that I advocate a lot is, do your kids know why Arabic is so important? Did you have a conversation with your children about Arabic? What it means to know Arabic, what it opens, what is the Quran? All these things are very, very important and can really reinforce the connection with the language. I don't recommend any forcing of any kind. Yeah, I don't recommend. I know some people do that, like you have to speak in Arabic, otherwise I'm not like gonna answer to you or whatever. I don't like that because this is a very confrontational approach. I try to model as much as possible, and I don't overwhelm myself with thinking, okay, they don't want to reply and things like this. If because maybe they're not replying because there's not a need for it, but they're still able to do it. So if they're put in a situation where they have to do it, they will do it, inshallah. So don't like over stress about them not answering you back in Arabic when you speak with them in Arabic. Just continue speaking in Arabic. And inshallah, the thing is like when we try to speak in Arabic and they're not answering, we tend to give up. And this is when they're like, okay, we're successful. We don't need to speak Arabic anymore. So that's why we have to be patient and keep doing it. Yes. Yeah, my time is up. I have to go actually, inshallah, because it's Jumu'ah for me. So we have to get ready to go to the masjid, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Hannah. It was a really
Yes,
insightful session. Thank you for answering all the questions. And inshallah, we'll have the recording up with all of the resources. And yes, it was really nice, inshallah. Inshallah, we get to have you another time.
inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan, and jazakallah khairan, Maryam, for having me. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Ameen, Ya Rab. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Make sure you check your emails in the next few days, hopefully 2 days. I'll have to edit this and upload it with all the resources, inshallah, and I will let you know when it's ready. And yeah, I would love to hear your feedback. Please let me know. Sorry about this. Please let me know if you have any thoughts, ideas on how to make this space a better place, more efficient, more helpful for the homeschooling community. I would love to hear your thoughts. There's also a feedback form at the bottom of the recording, but a reply to the email is very helpful as well. Right? Jazakallah khairan. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Maheen, I just wanted to make sure, are you the Maheen that I know? If yes, because you were asking about some resources. So I just make sure that I send them to you, but I will have everything in there. Yes, okay, good to see you. All right, alhamdulillah. All right, so assalamu alaikum everyone. Have a great night and Jumu'ah Mubarakah.